10 Theories of International Politics in 10 weeks. Week 2, Liberalism. Liberals aren't idealistic dreamers. They look around the world and can see it's a dangerous place, but they stress the importance of 3 things. First, international institutions such as the United Nations help collective agreements be forged. Second, free trade between states helps create a sense of interdependency. And third, shared values can be spread, for example, through the spread of democracy, which all adds up to reducing the risk of war, even in the anarchical realm with no world government. For example, think about the risk of war between the United States and China. A liberal may argue that tariffs increase tensions and therefore the risk of war, whereas free market economics can lead these two countries to become so interdependent that they understand it's a greater cost than benefit to go to war with each other, which reduces the risk of war. Now, liberals aren't blind to the crises facing the liberal international order. They can see that democracy has declined around the world for 19 years straight. They can see that the United Nations doesn't have the influence they'd hoped for example, as evidenced over Gaza. And they can see that free market economics has produced profound global inequalities. However, they're calling on us to refine and defend liberalism rather than abandon it. For example, when it comes to people giving up on democracies who actually live in democracies, Fukuyama highlights that this is because they have never in fact lived under a totalitarian regime. And if they had done so, they'd understand the value of the ballot box. Consider Iraq. People joining queues to vote, even though they knew suicide bombers were targeting those queues. They were doing it because they wanted the ballot box. Regarding free market economics, liberals aren't blind to the fact that there's gross global inequalities around the world. In fact, Fukuyama supported Jeremy Corbyn's policies. However, they see this not necessarily as a turn towards socialism, but as liberalism being refined to address the problems it faces. For those interested, I did a 26-part A to Z series in international politics, which looked at the liberal international order, the United Nations, and democratic peace theory, which all link back to liberalism. Anyway, that's enough of me selling you liberalism. For critics such as realists, this is all delusional. These things won't bring about the change that liberals want to see, and we have to accept the tragedy of international politics. Whereas post-colonialists want even more radical change, and that's what we'll discuss next week.